Welcome everybody, and thank you for being here to be part of our soup and bread reception, what we find to be a valuable part of the Longest Night Memorial. And thank you, Linda Ketchum, for your tireless passion and compassion for bringing our faith community together. Lex Libertor, Pastor Lex, and Pastor Eldana Hazen is here, and other leaders of the Longest Night Memorial. We thank you on behalf of First United Methodist Church for extending the table. Here and throughout our faith community, we have Rabbi Bonnie Margulis here joined as one of the leaders and have expanded this team now to grow in faith. And I wanted to ask Savant to come up because she's sharing something that somebody asked me, a question about one of our sisters who passed away and died after she received housing, but suffered greatly on the streets. And I share this as a beginning part that when we're here today and we gather, like at any part of a memorial service or funeral service, we're here to comfort one another. So thank you for being here. Your presence alone is of great comfort. And Rabbi Bonnie is going to share a blessing, and then we will do a welcome.
Thank you. I have with me my friend Les Goldsmith, who's going to be helping to lead us in song at the 5 o'clock service. Les is one of our song leaders, our amazing song leader at Temple Bethel. I will offer a prayer from a Jewish tradition, and it is a very short blessing that we say before we eat. And it basically thanks God for bringing bread from the earth. But then we have to ask ourselves, well, does God bring bread from the earth? No, right? We get wheat from the earth, or we get corn from the earth, or we get barley from the earth. But in order to turn it into bread, we human beings have to do something to it. And so this blessing really reminds us that God does God's part, but we have to do our part. And we are partners with God in the ongoing work of perfecting this world. So we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz, which means, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth.
Thank you. And I also wanted to share gratitude for Chaplain Krista Fisher, who is here and joined the leadership team this year for this gathering. At this time, we would like to begin the soup and bread reception. And while everybody is coming up to the window, we're going to do this by table. While that is happening, I'm going to ask Tammy Fleming, Linda Ketchum, and Todd Hunter to come up to the front with Savang and John, because we will be sharing some words with you while you are waiting to go up for your soup and while you're enjoying soup, in the interest of time, because at 5 o'clock we invite folks to hopefully stay for our interfaith candlelight service up in the chapel. So that is the portion of our indoor memorial service. So what I'd like to do is ask is Lori, would you do me a favor? Lori works here at the church in our children's ministry area. Would you please call tables to go up in a timely fashion so we can just... Okay, thank you. Wherever you'd like. What I'd like to do is start by acknowledging and thanking Linda Ketchum, Executive Director of Madison Area Urban Ministry, for beginning and bringing us together in this community. Not only in our faith community, but our entire community. And remembering after the death of one of our brothers who passed away outside, to remember a person's death the way we just did outdoors when a person passed away, and where our brothers and sisters, sadly, every year we lose people, not only in our county and city, but throughout the United States. Linda, would you please share with us how you started this and what that means to our community in the vein of social justice?
Thank you, Karen. And what I'll say is that I didn't start this. This is part of a national longest night all over the country tonight. There are services happening. And the first such service happened 10 years ago, and it was actually Donna Asif in our community. Many of you know Donna, who operated Project Bubbles for many years. Donna was the person who held the first longest night service 10 years ago at Grace Episcopal Church. And we were in conversation, and Brenda Conkle was part of that conversation, and a number of us about what do we do when someone in our community who has been without a home dies? How do we remember them? And so we started to talk with faith community leaders and other people in the community, and shortly after that first conversation happened, Dwayne Warren died. And I read in the paper that a friend of Dwayne's was looking to, trying to put together a memorial service for Dwayne. And so I called the newspaper, and they graciously gave me Todd's contact information, and I contacted Todd. And it kind of went from there with planning Dwayne's memorial service, and then we started going forward that we needed to do this every year. And his service was held at First Congregational United Church of Christ. And there were other faith partners, First Unitarian Society, Lakeview Lutheran Church, other partners that came on board and helped with that service. So that was really how this got rolling. Donna started it and planted the seed. We watered the seed a little, and along came Todd and threw some more light on that seed and helped it grow. And so here we are 9 years after that, and the service continues to grow, and we're just really honored to be part of it.
Thank you very much. This was for me quite organic because it came out of my friendship with Dwayne, and he was someone who was homeless, and it took me about a year to get to know him, and we became pretty good friends. He really was important to me, and then he passed away, and I think needlessly, on the steps of the Capitol. So I thought that was interesting that he should die there where people are supposed to be represented, and I didn't think anyone was representing Dwayne. I tried to help him as much as I could, but when people have behavioral health issues and all these other problems that we all have, sometimes the world is overwhelming, and it's our duty to step up. And so that relationship gave me some inspiration, very much. And then I got some other inspiration from Linda Ketchum, who reached out to me, and Eldonna Hazen, who reached out to me as well. And that has set me on a kind of a warm path to continue doing this in a very limited way. But what I wanted to do was just share with you a couple of words, a couple of things that I have here, and I want to read them. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. Thank you. This is called Open Hearts, and this is from President Obama's devotionals, and this really caught me, and I wanted to share it with you today, which kind of expresses what I think I should be doing. I want to speak for myself, but I think other people will relate to this. So let me just share these three things with you. And I will give you a new heart and a new spirit I will put within you. And I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And this is Ezekiel 36:26. And Howard Thurman, some of you know who he is and others may not, but he had another beautiful quote. There is a profound ground of unity that is more pertinent and authentic than all the unilateral dimensions of our lives. This a man discovers when he is able to keep open the door of his heart. This is one's ultimate responsibility, and it is not dependent upon whether the heart of another is kept open for him. And I think sometimes that's the hardest thing, because we always respond to stimulus, and we need to be open as much as possible, and we can't do that every day. And some people are better than others to do it, but there's so much enlightenment that comes when you keep your heart open. And here's the last quote. Open our hearts, God, to instruct unheard, to instruction unheard, to possibility unseen, to love unfelt, to joy unknown. If we have been closed off, we repent and we ask you to open our hearts. Amen. And I feel great comfort and privilege to be in the company of so many wonderful people who open their hearts to come out tonight and walk around the square, and for the friendships that we make here today, and to honor those that we lost.
Thank you, Todd. And I also wanted to ask Tammy Fleming to share some words tonight. I met Tammy when I was working here at the church, and she came in with a detective looking for a missing man who was later found deceased. And that was back in 2012, or 2010, pardon me. Tammy, I have so much respect and love for you, as everybody does in this room, because that's what Tammy does, is helps turn the hearts, some that are cold, others that are flesh, that reinforce for us that we are answering the calls, as you do for me, Tammy, as a friend and as a fellow sister in service, that when we serve in community and when we serve from a place of love, we're answering a call bigger than ourselves. And Tammy, you nurture that in all of us. So thank you for what you do, and please share with us how you began doing that. And we thank you for being a part of the annual Longest Night Memorial.
Thanks a lot. I had to write stuff down because I don't trust myself to remember what I want to say. But I type really big, so it's not as much as it looks like. For me, this city is littered with memorials. I venture to guess for a lot of you who have loved a lot of homeless, or lost a homeless brother or sister or friend, it is too. I can almost see Lenny when I go by his spot at Lake Mendota and hear him say, "Here comes trouble," as I walk by. I remember Steve at the bench in front of Starbucks or on the wall at Veterans Museum. I see Dennis wearing his black leather jacket and his rainbow tie-dye, sitting on the curb bench at Library Mall. I can't drive under the John Nolan Drive underpass without thinking about Merle and Jim. Their last weeks sleeping there before their few days in hospice were granted, and they succumbed to cancer. The Aloha Motel is a place where I think about my dear friend Bob, who overdosed there and was found later. When I see a partially hidden tent peeking out of a wooded area, I can't help but think of Ernie and the call I never had a chance to return that he made to me the day before he died. Over on Winnebago Street, now behind all that new construction, I think of my friend Jesse the day he called me to tell me that he had found Forrest, a recently homeless man, deceased in his car there. On a bench in front of Grace Church, I think of the first time I met Maverick, and we talked about all the tattoos on his arm and all the places he had been, and how much he loved a good lasagna. I think of Bill when I walk into the Capitol. He was a Navy veteran, and he had just gotten housed, and he was doing really well. He was sober. I think of how hard he hugged me the last time I saw him, a few weeks before he died. I think of Cindy when I think of Occupy Madison and the encampments we moved time after time before they had a permanent spot. And how often I thought it was a miracle she was still alive. And she was still alive because of all the people who took care of her and loved her. I think of Jessie and her beautiful rainbow hair and infectious smile when I passed the spot I first met her at Peace Park. So many memorials, too many to talk about tonight. And I'm better for knowing these people. But streets of Madison, so many memorials on the streets of Madison of people who should still be here but died from the effects of poverty, apathy, or addiction. Each of them has touched my life in some way. People have been giving me a hard time lately. I work at the Beacon and they say I don't smile very much. It's not because I don't love what I'm doing. It's not because I don't think what we're doing there is awesome and I'm happy and proud to be a part of it. But it's because I feel this sense of urgency in everything that we do, because I know that a lot of the things that we do can really actually mean life and death for people. And I've seen my friends walk in there bruised and beaten. I've seen people come in there after they've been sexually assaulted and shaking from fear, shaking from the cold. Over the past 7 years, I've gone with people to the doctor and visited them in the hospital. I've hugged them tight and begged in their ear, whatever you're doing, whatever you're taking, please stop. I love you. You look like you're not going to make it. You're scaring me. I don't want you to die. And you look like you're going to die. Caring about my homeless brothers and sisters means that I have been afforded a glimpse into the hell that it can be when you're shut out and homeless and I can't shrug it off and put on a happy face and pretend, well, I'll just make the best of what we've got here. I know I can't change another person or will them into sobriety or compel them to get back on their meds when I see them spiraling down. I can only work to keep them alive until they're ready. Ready to ask for help or make changes when it's the right time for them. And after hearing the list of names tonight, and one that surprised me actually, I know we can do better. We have to show people love. We have to give people dignity, the dignity of accessible health care and treatment for addictions and accessible health care for mental illness, and we have to keep them safe while they're alive. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the purpose of life is not to be happy, it's to be useful, to be compassionate, and to have made some difference, that you have lived and lived well. I challenge every person in this room who feels the compassion and sadness, who felt enough to be here tonight, to remember those who died and to keep fighting. Fight for more accessible mental health services. Fight for more addiction services. Fight for more medical services. Fight for limitless and better overnight shelter services. Fight for more low and no income housing. Fight for more supportive services so the people who get housed can stay housed. And when you start to feel burned out, take a break and walk the city and remember those who we've lost to poverty and apathy already. Remember that you've been drawn here for a reason, for the purpose of usefulness and compassion, and to have your life make some difference. And fighting for social justice and for people to have their basic human needs met is a life well spent. Love and peace to you all.
Thank you, Tammy. So I wanted to also ask Saban to share a word, if she would, and I know this is a difficult time, you're coming from a funeral today. We all come from places in our life of pain, and sometimes we don't know what people are suffering. But when we open up our hearts, as shared so eloquently tonight by all of the folks who have spoken so far, we lessen the load and we lessen the pain. And so while we ourselves are experiencing pain by helping somebody else in pain, it's a heart speaks to heart, cor ed cor liquidor, is what I learned from the Dominicans. And we can continue. Savang, I have so much respect for you. The first time I met you, you were testifying in public testimony on behalf of folks who could not speak for themselves because they're gone. And I continued to learn. I learned that about your refugee, about who you are as a human being. I want to thank you on behalf of our church and our ministry here for serving alongside Tammy and brothers and sisters here who do street outreach and help save this man's life right here, John Haynes, who serves in community and has now received some housing thanks to the folks who do street outreach and connect people who are suffering with those service providers, because we don't have the best systems in place, but we're gonna try to fill those gaps. Please share with folks who might not know what that means.
Well, I'm honored to be here. To be able to do this work, you have to understand compassion. And in order to know compassion, you have to suffer. We all suffered as a human being. Each one of us has an emotion. We all feel sad. We all feel happy. We all feel frustrated. Those are our common core as a human being. That's what we have in common. When we understand those suffering, each of us here suffer in so many different ways. But we have to learn and understand that through our suffering, we learn that compassion, and through compassion, we learn through service. For me, I came from a country that was robbed from me. I lost my father when I was 4 years old. I lost my mother when I was 13. But through guidance, through friendship, through people that care for me, I learned to find my way. And I am thankful that both of my parents had planted those seeds of compassion. I do this work because I see the suffering of every human being. We're all suffered. So when I look at people, I see them as a whole. There's no gap. There's no up, there's no down. I see you as who you are, and I accept you as who you are. Abby, I love you.
Love you too.
I can give you a perfect example. John here, sleeping on the square in the winter, probably like 10 below outside. I happened to just walk past by it, and he had this huge plastic bag over him. I just had to stop by and ask, is someone under there? There he was speaking. So ever since then, I always checked up on him. I remember him calling. I need to stay warm tonight. It's below 10 below outside. Can you go? Was it 40? Oh my goodness, yeah. So I went to Walmart and got him some of those. Sterno, at 11 o'clock at night. And, that's because I feel like this is what I need to do. Because it is hard when you go home and you sleep in a bed and you think about him and all you can do is pray. Even though we don't do much, but when in our hearts and in our mind, we send that positive energy and those prayers, it works. Our good thoughts work through those who are outside, for those who have no home, for those who have no family, we make a big impact on them. Because you know what? Love, see no rich, see no poor. Love, see no sex. Love doesn't see anything except you. And each one of you, I truly believe that each of us has a gift. And it's up to you to open those gifts. So please, when you walk on those streets, smile to someone. Because your smile can change that person's whole world. So. And I just wanted to share, especially, a lot of people do this, do a lot of time donation, at times of Christmas. You know what? Time of giving is every day. We should give every day, whether it's our smile, whether it's our money, whether it's our hug. One time a guy asked me for money. I'm like, I don't have any money, can I give you a hug? That really makes a difference. So I challenge you to, to give a stranger a hug, because you know what? It doesn't cost a thing, and it's very contagious. So thank you.
John, you will? Okay.
Hi, brothers and sisters. Hello, brothers and sisters. When I first started here, volunteering all this, once group they had here, a gentleman, John Reynolds, walked outside. I was standing there going through the butt. There you go. What you doing? So, trying to get a cigarette. He invited me in. I didn't know where I was going to go. That time, I was thinking doing myself in. He asked me to come in for a cup of coffee. He introduced me to Karen. They brought hope to my life.
God yourself.
And ever since. And this is my little lady. If I wasn't, they every day had someone come check on me. I was on the streets. I had died on the streets. 4.5 years. I had 7 heart attacks out on the street. With Karen and Methodist, Tom back there, started volunteering here. Started volunteering at the Bethel. Cooking food for a lot of you people. Make sure you have food every day. And they helped me get housing, helped me to get on Social Security. They helped me do a lot of things. That's why I put my soul and heart back into the community. And I walk the streets. I try to help out anybody I can. If I got it, it's yours. That's the way I am. And this is my second home. Really, it's my first home. Second home is one place, Southside. But this is my home, and this is my family. And I appreciate what they did for me for all these years. And I'll still go until they bury me. And I hope it's a long time, because end of the month, I've lived 60 years, and I want to live another 60 years.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Well, let us break bread together tonight, and Lori's going to help let tables know, maybe you start from back to front, to come on up, and we have 4 different soups tonight, donated by Healthy Food for All through the Community Action Coalition. And then we have some savory breads donated by Just Bakery, thank you Linda, and by Clausen's European Bakery. So those will be back here, and then we'll have some dessert prior to our 5 o'clock interfaith candlelight service.